is Bekka Whitney. Please do not swear. I have a very special guest with me today. Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
How you doing, folks? Good afternoon. My name is Steve Young.
Hi, Steve. It's lovely to have you here.
You're welcome.
Steve has got something a little special for us to start with today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Steve?
So I came across Integrity, the magazine, which I thought was quite cool because I have a song called Integrity. It's actually one of the first songs I ever wrote and released 6 years ago, and it's about keeping your wits about you when you're going through a hard time. For example, if you're having a breakup, don't put it all over Facebook because it's bad.
Guilty.
Don't do it.
On that note, take it away.
All right, cool. If I pass out halfway through, it's because it's about 50,000 degrees in this room. Anyway, cool. Here's Integrity. All this talk about integrity, don't be selling out, don't be selling out your soul. Cause when life throws you choices, you've got to see it through, it will fall. And I'm waiting for a moment, oh, I'm praying for a better hand. Though it seems like I'm doing nothing, babe, right now it's my only plan. Doing the best I can with my own two hands, my own two hands. Did it all for you, not because you asked me to. It's all I knew. All this talk about integrity, you know it's really about, it's about you and me. Cause all I have for you was love, which I gave to you so easily. Doing the best I can, my own two hands, my own two hands. I did it all for you, not because you asked me to. It's all I knew. So now it's not enough. Love, 'cause I can't feel your love. 'Cause when I close my eyes, you're always by my side, you're always by my side. All this talk about integrity, you know it's really it's about you and me. Those your choices, you got to see it through when love grows cold.
Wow. Oh my God, what a beautiful voice, Steve.
Oh, thank you. I'm just going to turn my reverb off.
All right, Steve.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that. So where can we find that? Where if people want to hear that? Where can they find that?
Oh, it's everywhere. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, There's like a video on YouTube of it as well. It's everywhere really.
And just for a little shameless plug for you and the magazine, what's it called?
The song's called Integrity. And, my name's, if you want to Google me, just put Steve Young UK. Make sure you put the UK on the end, otherwise you'll never find me.
There are lots of Steve Youngs in the UK.
There are. There's a lot of Steve Youngs all around the world, and there's a couple of really famous ones, an American footballer particularly. So he owns about the first 18 pages of Google if you just type Steve Young. So if you want to get to me, you've got to stick the UK on the end.
Right, so tell us a little bit about you, Steve. Where did your journey start with music?
Well, my journey started, I grew up on the Isle of Wight, and I wasn't into music at all. I had no interest in it really. I was all about science and computers and electronics and all that kind of stuff. And then my sisters took me up to London to see this little band called Pink Floyd, and just kind of changed everything really. I walked into Wembley Stadium, saw the entire population of the Isle of Wight stood in one place, and it kind of changed my life. I just came back and I just wanted to be. I was 17 then. So I changed my life really. I just picked up the guitar and I never put it back down again. And
so you hadn't played the guitar before that point?
No. I played the trumpet in like the school band when I was like 7. I always had a good ear for music. I was always able to sort of listen to music and pick it up quickly. So I basically just locked myself away in my room for about 2 years with a guitar. And when I came out, I was like 19 and ready to do a gig. Wow. And then I moved off the Isle of Wight when I was 23, moved to London, and I joined a band and signed a deal with Warner Brothers, and that's kind of where my professional music career started.
Right from there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the story from there is pretty long, so I don't know how long we've got.
Tell us. I know that you've played with some pretty big people, so I know. Tell us a little bit about Savage Garden and the tour with those guys.
Yeah, so the band that was signed to Warner's, hold on, I'm just going to do that, hold on. So the band that was signed to Warner's, it lasted about 2 years. It was a kind of a rock band. There was a lot of stuff going around. It was a pretty intense time in the music industry, and lots of shows, went to lots of parties, and it just kind of fell apart really, and it did what it did. And, but I was determined not to go back to the Isle of Wight with my tail between my legs. So I just sort of by chance really, I kind of joined up with this session agency, and my first proper gig was Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
Wow. He was just only over for like a week, and he was doing we did Graham Norton, Parkinson's show, and like Good Morning Britain, or whatever it was called back then. And that was like my first kind of experience as a session guitarist. And I was like,
bloody hell,
I can do this. And then I
straight in there.
Peter Andre, because when he came out of the jungle and he re-released Mysterious Girl, I ended up being in his band for that whole kind of little whirlwind. It only lasted about 2 weeks, but I think the first night was Top of the Pops, and he was a new entry. And then we played every day for sort of 14 days, and then the last day was #1 on Top of the Pops. Probably people out there going, what's Top of the Pops? But
yeah, you're showing our age now.
Hold on, I know what I've done. Sorry, I lost you a little bit there. That's me and my technology. Yeah, and then from there, I got a call totally out of the blue to hook up with Darren Hayes, who was the singer from Savage Garden. And
if you just hold you there, let me take you back a minute. Going from completely, this is your first kind of big gig with Lionel Richie. What was that? Then that must have absolutely blown your mind. Was you scared?
Oh yeah, I totally. Yeah, but he was so nice. He was the most. I mean, I guess when you get to that stage in your career, he was so humble and so welcoming to us. And obviously, we were just a pickup band. We weren't particularly important, in the eyes of the powers that be. But he was just so nice. I mean, we had this tiny little dressing room, and he had this massive dressing room with all this food laid out. And like every time he was just like, guys, come in. I'm not having you sitting in that little tiny room, help yourself. I'm not going to eat any of this food. And what do you think of this shirt? What do you think of this? And what do you think of these trousers? And you're just like, oh my God, Lionel Richie's like asking me what he thinks about his shirt. And I'm just like, it's great, man. It's really great. It's great. Who's it by? I don't know. I can't remember who it was by actually. It was Armani, that was it. It was an Armani shirt. And he was like, it's an Armani shirt. And I was like, oh, you're probably all right, you know. I think Armani's all right.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. And so then on to Savage Garden. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So obviously not called Savage Garden anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so I just got this phone call out of the blue. Had to go and audition for Darren Hayes down at Eden Studios, which is not there anymore, sadly. And I had to learn like a couple of songs in front of him. So he like played me a song and I just basically had to learn it. And then he was like, what songs do you know? And then the only song I could think of was One by U2. I don't know why, it just popped into my head. So then we had like this duet, we did this kind of duet of One, U2. And obviously I knew the song Truly Madly Deeply, you know, standing on a mountain and bathing in the sea and all that business. But I wasn't really up on all the rest of the stuff. But then it's funny with Savage Garden when you hear like Moon and Back and I Knew I Loved You Before I Met You and Crash and Burn. Like when you start hearing all their songs on the radio, you're like, oh my God, how did I not know who this was? But I ended up in a band with him for 5 years and he was the first person to really encourage me to get into songwriting. And so I wrote a song with him, which ended up being the opening track on his last album that he released. And that kind of just sort of launched my sort of journey as a songwriter. But at that point, I still hadn't written anything for myself. I was only writing with other artists. And then I was married, and that started to kind of. I was working on these ships, like doing like a month on, a couple of weeks off. You know, so 30 nights in a row on a ship playing, and then come home. And around that time, my kind of marriage started to fall apart. Not because I was working on the ships, I'd like to stress. Because I was earning good money. You know. I was doing nothing wrong. I was doing 7-hour sets every night, 9 till 3 in the morning every night, and yeah.
That must be tough though. On relationships, that must be tough in terms of that separation and distance.
It was because life when you're on the ship for you, it's boat life, and it's a bit like you can think of it as a prison, but you have to try not to think of it as prison because then you go mad. But the rest of life just
a bit like lockdown.
Exactly. Working on a ship is like being in lockdown, but with a massive family of about 2,500 people who probably drink as much as people have been drinking in lockdown.
Let's say nothing on that.
Yeah. So the marriage started to fall apart, and I couldn't play during the day. My fingers were so sore from playing that I just started writing lyrics out on my laptop, and the first thing I did was Integrity. And I wrote it because of a mutual friend of mine and my ex-wife. She messaged me and said, look, whatever you do, just don't be an idiot. Like, don't, you know, keep your integrity. Don't start putting stuff on Facebook. Don't start, you know, you're stuck on a ship, and, you know, just keep it between yourselves and your friends. Do not go public with it. And I didn't. But then the song Integrity is about the fact that, like, why am I the one stuck on the ship and I have to have integrity? Like, it's not fair. I want to rant and rave, and I want to plaster it all over Facebook. Yeah. You know, so it's just about that, really. You know. I think
you very quickly learn though when you do, because I think we've all probably been guilty of it at different points in our lives, of that Facebook rant that we probably never should have made. Nobody actually really cares. It's just a bit of news fodder and entertainment, and you might have bared your soul and everything that's going on in your life right now, and you know.
And it always gets it's always taken out of context as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can never truly, reading someone's post, you never truly know what's behind the whole story. So, you know, and it's just, no one wants to read that. No one wants to read.
They do, but not for the reasons you think they do. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about when you put out your first EP. So that was called Little Things, is that right? That's right. Was that in 2014? Yeah.
So that was just a guilty pleasure. I had these 5 songs, and I thought, I had no interest in being an artist. You know, I'm not young, clearly. I mean, you probably can't tell that, but I'm not that young. And I didn't... Sorry.
I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing.
It takes me a long time to get these grey bits in. You know,
I'm probably older than you, Steve. That's why I'm saying nothing.
I pay a lot of money to get these little grey hairs put in for my authenticity. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the EP was, it was just meant to be like a little guilty pleasure. I had these 5 songs and I just wanted to get it. I wanted to do it, and actually I kind of wanted to do it because my mate had just done it and I was a bit jealous that he had an EP. So I wrote loads of songs when I was in boat life, and so I did this EP, and it was weird because I couldn't really afford it. So I just did this little thing on Facebook, just saying, look, if you want to pay up front, like pay £5 up front, and I'll give you. It was just, this was before crowdfunding really was properly happening, or I knew about it anyway. So I just basically put out on Facebook, look, if you want to, I'm going to put an EP out. It's £5. If you pay for it up front, I'll sign it and send it to you. And I think I made like 900 quid in like one day.
Wow,
And I was
wow.
just like, okay. Because the thing is, a good thing about playing with people like Darren, there's this other guy I play with as well called Ramin, who's like a big West End acting star. So I kind of, you get all their kind of fans by proxy. So they're not really your fans, but because you're a lot more approachable. Like, it's a lot easier for a Savage Garden fan to message me than it is for them to message Darren. I'm
Yeah,
more likely to reply.
yeah.
And it's the same with this guy Ramin. Like, he's had fans all over the world, and we toured America loads. We did South Korea. We went everywhere together. And you just, so you pick up these fans by proxy, and they're the people, like, even to this day, they're the people that still buy my stuff and still watch all my live streams. You know, and I'll be like doing a live stream and someone will be like, hi, I'm in Mexico. I saw you in San Francisco in like 2008, you know, and you're just like, wow, that's 12 years ago and you remember me, you know.
That's
So
really
it's
cool.
really cool. So these are the people that have, my guilty pleasures now: 3 albums, 2 EPs, several tours. And I actually launched the EP in New York because I had some friends in New York, and I decided to go and launch it over there because I didn't think anybody in the UK was interested. So I went to America instead, and I did this. I did the EP launch in New York, and like literally people flew up from Brazil, down from Canada. One lady drove 13 hours from Winnipeg. There was another one came over from Chicago. You know, it was amazing. I mean,
That's
obviously all of that's
amazing.
now obsolete because I just do it online. I'll never have to travel again. It's brilliant. I can basically do a world tour sat here in my oven.
Might want to get a fan though. You might need a fan, little aircon. So
As soon
then
as
tell
we're
me
done,
about. Sorry, go on.
sorry.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, as soon as we're done, I can open the door and there's a fan waiting there. But they might have gone
tell
home
me,
by
tell me
now.
about the process of crowdfunding, because obviously for a lot of independents and people kind of starting out on this journey, that's a really kind of useful tool or mechanism to get things moving.
Yeah,
Tell me about how that works.
it's got a sting in the tail though, because the problem with crowdfunding is it's a fantastic idea and it's a brilliant way to get money up front. But the problem is you have to have some kind of audience there in the first place. And
Okay.
unfortunately, it's particularly with am I allowed to say names? I mean, this one went bust. So particularly with Pledge Music, if you didn't reach your target, they didn't charge anyone's cards,
Right.
but you had to continue the process. So you would be hiring the musicians, hiring the studio. You'd start the process, and why? And because what you do is you would, like, you know, you'd invite a fan on Skype to watch a day's recording session, and they would pay 50 quid for it, whatever. Come up with all these elaborate ways of raising money, and crowdfunding is brilliant for that, because you're not just selling the album. You say, okay, well, I'm going to record this album, but I'll give you the lyrics signed for 10 quid,
It's like you're
or
selling the process, yeah,
you
as
can join me
well.
on
So,
you can
yeah.
join me on Skype for 50 quid for a day in the studio, or I will put your name on it for 150 quid. I'll put your name on the back of the album. And so there's all loads of different, and for that it's brilliant, because you know, at the end of the day, the target for my first album was like 6,000, I think. And I did get there, but you have to work really hard. So it's
Yeah.
great from that point, because you do get the money as long as you hit target. And when you hit target, the money then gets released into your bank account, and their cards get charged. It's the only problem with crowdfunding is if you haven't got a following to start with, it can be a real uphill struggle.
So for like all independent artists, fan base building is priority number one, isn't it? You've got to get,
It is, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But if you are going to do crowdfunding, you know, you can always, you know, you just got to guilt your friends and family into spending 100 quid on one album. You know, but yeah, absolutely. Building an audience is always going to be the number one thing, and how you do that. I mean, at the moment, live streaming has become so normal, it's actually a great way to build a fan base. You know, as long as I've always been a stickler for quality, and you know, if you're going to do a live stream, don't just stick a phone in the bottom of your stairwell and shout at it. You know, try and you know, it's not that difficult to learn to use the software to do something. You know, I'm sure you weren't using StreamYard a few months ago. You know, you learn to use the software and it works to your advantage. And there's some OBS Studio, which is what the musicians are using at the moment to get their good quality streams. It's not hard to use.
Down as we speak right now.
OBS Studio. It's free software. It's free software. Once you get the hang of it, it's easy to use. There's a million tutorials on YouTube, and it just turns your performance quality, you know, onto the next level. And that's what people want. They want to see you at home. They love seeing you at home, but they want to see you at home, and they still want you to sound good. Yes. You know. Yeah. So was that a tip in there somewhere?
It absolutely was. I know I wrote it down.
It's all out there. It's all free. Get yourself one of these, decent condenser mic.
Yeah.
And everything else is free. Yeah.
All right, so I've got a little thing that I like to do. It's called my quick fire questions, and I'm going to tell you they are totally bloody random. Yeah, probably nothing to do with anything, but I only ever take your first answer. Okay. Ready?
This sounds dangerous because I talk a lot of rubbish.
Okay, first one's easy. What's your favourite song ever?
I think it's going to be "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd.
Easy. Can you cook?
I try. I can cook if I'm got the patience, but I've never got the patience.
Do you ever wear odd socks?
Do I what?
Ever wear odd socks?
I really try not to. It would cause me issues.
I'm terrible for it. Do you have a pet?
I do. I have my dog Toby, who's asleep under the couch here.
Hi, Toby. Have you ever forgot your lyrics on stage?
I've forgotten the words.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
All the bloody time. Yeah.
I'm human.
Do you like Marmite?
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Yeah. Would you consider yourself romantic?
Yeah.
You would. What's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
I write songs for people.
Yeah, that's a cop out. As a musician, you can't do that. But yeah, it's fine. I'll take it. It's your first answer. Have you ever stolen anything?
Yeah.
What?
I stole like one of those little wine back cars from the local newsagents when I was about 12. I got caught for it. You know, the ones you pulled them back, let them go, and they shoot forward.
Yeah.
I got caught for it. I had to go and apologise.
Did he accept your apology? Did he ban you for life?
No, I wasn't banned. It was the Isle of Wight's a small place. You can't ban people, otherwise you've got no customers.
My last question is, are you at this point wondering why you let me interview you?
Not at all.
Oh, brilliant. We didn't do too bad.
No, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Me too. So what's next for Steve? Where can we find out about you? What you're up to?
Well, in about 37 minutes, I've got to start my guitar lessons because most of the time I teach music during the week, and those lessons have now been switched over to online. Luckily, they still exist. Gig-wise, no idea. I'll tell you actually what is coming up is when the lockdown started, I did this thing called Song a Day. And every single day at lunchtime, I went on live stream Facebook and I did a song, which normally ended up being 2, 3, 4, 5 songs. But anyway, I did this for 75 days.
Wow.
And then so for 75 days, I performed every lunchtime about 12:15. And I built up such a big audience from this. And what I've done now is I've asked basically everybody to pick their favourite song, and I'm going to put 20 of them onto a CD and post the CD out to everybody, because the way we're making money is people tip on PayPal. Yeah. So everybody that's basically tipped on PayPal will get one of these CDs, and it'll be 20 of the best performances from the Song a Day. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I've got contracts for October. I got a lot of gigs in Denmark and Norway, and they look like they might be starting up again in October. But other than that, I just don't know. I just don't know what's happening.
Rolling with the punches.
Like we were saying, musicians have just been absolutely smashed by this lockdown. And even though the pubs are opening on July the 4th, even if they do want live music, they haven't made any money in months. Priorities are not paying musicians. It's going to be fake grass in the car.
I mean, I actually saw the guidance today advising not to hire entertainment.
Sorry, say that again?
I saw advice today advising restaurants and pubs not to hire entertainment. So for us, we're still kind of stuck, really.
I know. I mean, I had so many, I think in about, so was it? It was March 23rd that the lockdown was announced. I think within 48 hours, I'd lost £7,000 worth of work.
Yeah,
and that was mostly weddings and private party. Yeah, I'm sure you're the same. And some of those have been put to September and October, so they're coming. But most of them were put to next year. So fingers crossed for you and me, I think, and everybody else that does what we do. I think next year might be a busy year.
Fingers crossed.
We haven't chewed our own legs off before we get there.
I've come close, I'm not going to lie. The last couple of months I've come very close. All right, so my last question for you today is, as you know, we're called Integrity, and we would like to know, what does integrity mean to you?
Integrity means not losing control and hurting people for no reason. Integrity means, particularly if you're in a public position or you're in a position of inspiration or authority like a teacher, integrity is just about keeping a real, what am I trying to say? A level playing field, you know, and just not letting yourself fall down to people's levels if they're trying to drag you down, and not putting yourself above people. And integrity is just being the best version of yourself you can be, and not doing anything on purpose to hurt other people.
I love that. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to have. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it, because we've certainly enjoyed having you.
Yes, it's been great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Look after yourself. Bye.
You too. Bye.